think I've already made a video about this, but I might as well go ahead and make another one. So long ago, I don't know how long ago, um, I had a huge team of draftsmen that I needed for my airplanes and for my engines and for my water wheels and for my mines and for all kinds of things. I needed to have engineers and draftsmen. So while they were doing my stuff and working on my factories and buildings, I told them to go ahead and just draw up plans on just about everything. I was like, if you see a building out there that needs to be designed or or whatever, and plus any of my factories or buildings that I was having designed for me would also be available to the public, basically. So the public could go and they didn't have to have engineers or designers or architects or anything like that. They could just go and purchase one of my buildings plans. Turn to whatever page and go, okay, water wheel, blah, blah, I want to have water factory or blacksmith shop. And they could go, okay, I need so many, and it would have a list of how many bricks you need, how many of every material you needed. And then at the bottom, you would just go purchase those, then show up at your building site, do it up all nice and smooth, and then put the pieces where they go. Just like building a Lego house, basically, except with timber and bricks. You buy the bricks, and the plans would I believe would usually have next on another column, like I say, it would say take so many bricks, take so many pieces, board lengths, such and such sizes, maybe even I'm not exactly sure. The thing was I had to have water wheels and water mills and I had textiles, and every time I would upgrade one of my buildings, a plan would be made, and then that plan would be saved and put off in a shelf somewhere. And then other people could come by and go, I want to, other people that wanted to go into the textile business could then go and purchase the plan, and then they could go build their own textile somewhere. Anyway, though, I had my textiles, and as I went through my evolution of textiles, every single time that plan would, the plan for the old textile would be saved, and they'd build a new one, or they would build a bigger one, and then the new one would be saved and put over there. Because I had a team of like 5,000 or more engineers, draftsmen, and designers, basically. And so, and plus, I was building theaters and stuff like that, so every time a theater was built, the plan would be saved. So basically, it basically meant that the average person didn't need to have or hire a draftsman, an engineer, and all these people. They could just go get a plan, go build the plan, And I thought it would be cool and kind of one of those awesome things, because I was building a theater. I'd build a theater in a town, and blah blah blah, and then someone could go get one of those plans and then go and build themselves a theater. And I was building ever bigger structures anyway, like the Colosseum and all that kind of stuff. Theoretically, there should be a plan on the Colosseum and how to build it, showing everything. All my buildings that I ever had built were always plans because the people in the field needed to know how they were assembled. Although a lot of my buildings also had engineers on site, so the engineer would sit there and actually draw the site as it was being built. And then he would save those drawings too as well. And then those drawings would also be used later on to make plans for future buildings. And it's kind of like an evolution of everything, at least in America and in other places too. I mean, China, all kinds of other different groups kind of realized the value of having this done. Saving plans for future use. So, because in the old days, in the old days, if you wanted to build a building, you had to hire a draftsman to sit there on the site and basically draw out the building on the site and figure everything out on site. And also, you needed to have a structural engineer to be on site as well. Buildings in the old days, required everybody to basically be on the site. And it was very expensive. I had to pay out a lot of money to have every single one of my buildings built because, we didn't have plans before. If you wanted to build something, you had to basically hire an engineer, hire a draftsman, hire blah, 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 blah. You needed to have everything, all the crews. Anyway, so as a cost saving and a time saving effort, I decided that the best way to do things was just to have plans for everything. you know. So you build a building, you build it once, and then once you build it, you save that information or save that plan for future buildings. And it was kind of like one of those traditions I got started. So that way, people of the future or people or other people, people who couldn't afford to have engineers and draftsmen and all these different groups working for them, like I could just go down to the corner plan store or plans place and be like, oh, I want to build a water wheel. Okay, here's your plan. Or if they wanted to build a textile, it's like, here's a plan. Or even a steam engine, here's a plan. Because I had engineers draw up all my stuff. Usually almost everything that I did was basically a one-off kind of thing. It was a first of everything, pretty much. And so everything that I did was insanely expensive, like kind of expensive. Like, yeah, we're gonna have a team of 500 engineers, 300 draftsmen, and 50, and all this other stuff. I had to have big teams, huge teams, like 5,000 people working to build one building, and it was insanely expensive and and cost a lot of money. And I thought, well, for future reference, why don't we save all this information instead of losing it? So all my buildings had plans, even if some of my buildings were, of course, one-offs. But even after a building had been built, a draftsman would come along and write down how it was built and save that information for future reference. So people could just go to drawer number E, whatever, and go like, water wheel. Okay, there you go. Here's your water wheel. Or blacksmith shop. And I thought it was a good idea to do, and something that was done a lot, and actually kind of like made building easier for everyone because they didn't need to have like a wood person or engineer, count how many blocks are inside that fireplace. Like in the old days in the fireplace, you would have to have an engineer draw out how many blocks were going to be in there, blah blah blah, or just make the blocks on site. And for future reference, after me, how many minutes are we at? Okay, after me, I had it so it was all easy, all itemized at the bottom. You needed so many blocks, so many blah, 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 so many board feet, blah, 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 done. And all that information was saved and put inside a big file and locked away. No, people could buy it. And it was sold. And I guess I made money that way. I don't know. I don't really care. It was just something that happened. So as I struggled making bigger and bigger buildings, these bigger and bigger building plans were always being saved. So anyway, and it led to a lot of buildings being built, which were kind of because of me, but not by me exactly, and kind of other things. So while I had all my big number one factories, there were all kinds of other factories built as well. Anyway, whatever.